Hi Hagen. We're taking a look at lesson 107 today. 107 is called Using Percent to Name Part of a Group. Now the word percent is a word that means out of 100. So if we read that 50% of Americans drive cars, that means 50 out of 100 people drive cars. Percent will name a part of a whole. Okay, so we know that 100% would be a whole candy bar, for example, but 50% of a candy bar would not be a whole candy bar. It would only be part of that whole candy bar. So if we look at this example, it says if 8 of the 20 students are boys, what percent of the students are boys? Now remember, percent means over 100. So I need a fraction over 100 so that I can have a percent. So I have 8 out of 20 students. So 8 over 20. To get that to a percent, I need it to be over 100. So I need a denominator of 100. So let's see, what did I do to the 20 to get it to 100? I multiplied it by 5. So that means I need to also multiply my 8 by 5. So 8 times 5 is 40. So 8 over 20 equals 40 over 100. Over 100 means percent. So this would become 40%. Okay, this question specifically just asked us for a percent, so I don't have to include boys as part of the label or anything. Just that percent sign becomes the label. So 8 out of 20 boys would equal 40% boys. Okay, this problem says there were 400 pieces of candy in all. If 60 pieces were chocolate, what percent of the candy was chocolate? So let's see, there were 60 pieces that were chocolate out of 400 pieces. So that's 60 over 400. That was chocolate. Okay, but what I need to know is what percent of the candy was chocolate. So remember, percent means over 100. So I need a fraction that's over 100. What did I do to the 400 to get it to 100? I divided it by 4. If I divide by 4 on the bottom, I have to divide by 4 on the top. So I have to take 60 divided by 4. Okay, 4 goes into 6 one time. 1 times 4 is 4. 6 minus 4 is 2, and we'll bring down our 0. 4 goes into 20 5 times. 5 times 4 is 20. Subtract, and we have 0. Okay, so 15 is the number that I get when I take 60 divided by 4. So this becomes 15 over 100. Over 100 means percent, so this equals 15%. Sometimes we're going to have fractions that are not easily renamed as parts of 100. So in other words, we don't have a nice, neat fraction that we can make over 100. Okay, so consider the fraction 1/6. 100 is not a multiple of 6. So I can't put 1 over 6 equals something over 100 because it's not going to come out even. So to figure out percent in a case like this, I'm going to take my fraction, multiply by 100%, and then divide. Let's see what that looks like. So I'm going to start with my fraction 1/6. It says multiply by 100%. So times 100% over 1. Let's do the multiplication. 1 times 100% is 100%. 6 times 1 is 6. So then, okay, it said to multiply, and then it's multiply by 100%, and then divide. So let's do the division. 100% divided by 6. So 100% divided by 6. Okay, 6 goes into 1. No, it doesn't. 6 goes into 10 one time. 1 times 6 is 6. 10 minus 6 is 4. Let's bring down my 0. 6 goes into 40 how many times? So that's going to go in 6 times. 6 times 6 is 36. I subtract. I have 4. Okay, so here's the subtract. I have 4. So I'm going to write my remainder as a fraction. So 4 over 6. So 16 and 4/6%. Now you know we would want to reduce our 4/6. Okay, so that's going to equal 16 and 4/6 reduces to 2/3, and then I'll put my percent sign on the end. So 16 and 2/3%. That is the percent that equals our original fraction, 1/6. Okay, this problem says the team won 2/3 of its games. Find the percent of its games the team won. Okay, so we're going to start with our fraction, 2/3. We're going to multiply that by 100% over 1. So when I multiply 2 times 100, 200%. 3 times 1, 3. Now I need to divide, so I'm going to take my 200% divided by 3. So 200% divided by 3. So 3 goes into 2? No, it doesn't. 3 goes into 20. Yes, it goes in 6 times. 6 times 3 is 18. Subtract. Gives me a 2. Bring down a 0. 3 goes into 20 how many times? It goes in 6 times. 6 times 3 is 18. Subtract a 2. I have nothing left to bring down, so I'm going to write my remainder as a fraction. So 2 over 3. Don't want to forget my percent sign. Okay, so 66 and 2/3%. Now, I'm going to want to make sure this fraction is reduced. 2/3 cannot be reduced any farther. So that is my answer, 66 and 2/3%. That means that percent equals my original fraction, 2/3. Okay, here's our next problem. If 120 of the 200 students are girls, then what percent of the students are girls? Well, let's write the fraction for the number of students that are girls. So we have 120 girls over 200. Okay, so it wants to know what percent of the students are girls. For it to be a percent, I need over 100. So what did I do from the 200 to make it 100? Divided by 2. So that means I need to divide by 2 on top as well. 120 divided by 2 is 60. So here I have over 100. That becomes percent. So 60%. 30 out of 50 is what percent? So we would take 30 out of 50 is what percent? Well, percent, I need to be over 100. So what did I do to the 50 to get it to 100? Times 2. That means I have to do times 2 on top. So 30 times 2 is 60. So 60 over 100, remember over 100 becomes percent, so 60%. I have a feeling you're going to be able to answer this one pretty easily. It says, if half of the people ate lunch, then what percent of the people ate lunch? So it tells us that half of them ate lunch. What percent is 1/2? We know that is 50%. So 50% of the people ate lunch. And finally, 5 minutes is 1/12 of an hour. 5 minutes is what percent of an hour? So we have to take our fraction 1/12, and we have to write that as a percent. So I'm going to multiply by 100% over 1. Okay, so when I do the multiplication, I have 1 times 100. That equals 100%. On the bottom, 12 times 1, and that's going to equal 12. Now I need to do the division. 100% divided by 12. Okay, 12 goes into 1? No. 12 goes into 10? No. So we have to do the whole 100. 12 goes into 100 how many times? Well, let's see. Let's try 6 times. So 12 times 6, 2 times 6 is 12, carry a 1, 6 times 1 plus 1, 72. So that's a little bit low. Let's try 12 times 8. So 8 times 2 is 16, carry a 1, 8 times 1 plus 1 is a 9, 96, that's very close to 100. So it goes in 8 times. Okay, so 8 times 12 is 96. I do the subtraction and I get a 4. Okay, I don't have anything to bring down, so I need to write my remainder as a fraction, so 4/12. And that is a percent. Now I see 4/12, that can be reduced. Okay, so 4/12 divide by 4 becomes 1/3. So that equals 8 and 1/3%. And there is my answer. All right, enjoy working on this lesson.